So I found out I am not a vegan. Not a vegan anymore. Well, never have been a vegan. Pro-vegan, but I'm going to get onto what I really am being not a vegan. I was going to do a video about a comment that I got earlier today somebody saying, I don't even have to watch any of your videos to know that you're a brainwashed vegan. And I was thinking, there are brainwashed vegans out there, and that is a valid criticism, I would say, of some people that have certainly followed some banana eating, mango only diet, raw fruit, Atarians kind of diet advice. Yeah, I would say some of them definitely become brainwashed, and I think the brainwashed vegan is the one that's most likely to fall out of veganism, to give up veganism. The ones that just blindly followed somebody else's diet advice for their own perceived gains. And that's why I promote an idea of, like, if you're going to go vegan or be pro-vegan, keep researching, keep studying, keep making yourself knowledgeable of the environmental, ethical, physiological health benefits and changes of different types of veganism going on there. So I started Googling different types of veganism, and I've ended up going down a rabbit hole, a vegan rabbit hole, different vegan rabbit holes to find out what I truly am. So I found, so just first Google dietary vegans. So these are the people that have followed are plant-based eaters. Whole food vegans, junk food vegans, raw food vegans, idiots. Low fat raw food vegans, super idiots. Fruitarians, that's another one, total idiots. And then there's all these other ones like level 5 vegan, which is interesting. Then there's all these other ones here. So vegan lacto-vegetarian. So this wasn't veganism. This ends up going into restrictive dieting. So lacto-vegetarian, that's somebody that doesn't have milk. Ovo-vegetarian will have eggs. So lacto will have milk. Ovo will have eggs. Lacto-ovo will have milk and eggs. Pescatarian will have fish. Polotarian. Never heard of that one before. I had to Google that one. Flexitarian, somebody that just fucks around. Polotarian, I had to kind of check that one out. Didn't know what that one is. Googled it. Somebody who will not eat the flesh of any red meat mammals. Well, that's not really cutting it down that much. So that includes chicken, turkey, and other birds. That's it. That's not really, like, I wouldn't give yourself a label there. Oh, I'm a polotarian because I don't eat beef. I only eat everything else. But it says they may or may not exclude fish. So they might have fish, they might not. Seafood, and they might have eggs and dairy. So it's just somebody that doesn't like eating beef. That's a rubbish one. I'm not a politarian. And then I started going down another rabbit hole, like the different types of veganism and how it got into the ethical, the kind of the philosophy behind veganism and all that kind of stuff. Then talk about the pragmatic vegan. Even on PETA, they've got tips of being a pragmatic vegan, which I thought, I'm a pragmatic vegan. I'm there. I'm up for that. That's somebody who, I'll be vegan in my behaviours and my stuff, but I'm not going to distance myself from society by being too difficult in any sort of way. And then there's this one, good one here. How the vegan movement, have a read of this one. I haven't read it yet, actually, so I don't know whether it's any good, but there's a sentence in here which I thought was great. How the vegan movement broke out of its echo chamber and finally started disrupting things. I was like, ooh, what's this about? And it goes on about how blah, blah, blah. Talks about in the early 2000s, the vegan community broke into two paths. And there was a schism. A schism splintered the vegan community into two camps. Absolutists would tout veganism as an all or nothing imperative, moral imperative, which I'm like, chill out, guys. And pragmatics would quietly advocate for incremental changes. Okay, the vegan movement's brain finally outgrew its heart, and in less than 2 decades, the pragmatic vein of the movement has morphed into one of the biggest disruptors of the American food system. that should be the title of this. Okay, close the top. But that makes me kind of go, I want to go read the rest of this. It sounds interesting. So I thought, yeah, I'm a pragmatic vegan. I also have a vegan level where I go to. So like big animals, like horses, cows and stuff like that. I don't really care that much about them, but I don't think we should eat them. Then it comes down to like pigs, like here. Baby ones are cute. See, once they're older, they're disgusting. They smell. But I understand. Let's not kill them. Let's not breed them. Forcibly breed them into existence and then treat them horribly for the rest of their life. I get all that. I would say I'm not actually I'm not necessarily an empathic vegan. I'm not somebody who's like, oh, I love the chickens. Oh, I'm going to cry over chickens. Oh, I'm going to cry over the dead fish. I'm just somebody who is, I thought I would be saying I'm an enlightened vegan. I'm somebody who's just acknowledged the unnecessariness of not being vegan. The fact that we can be vegan happily, healthily in our life and not contribute to this horrible situation that we've got the animals in our current farming practices. But then even down to chickens. I really don't care about chickens. There's a chicken program, and I was like, I don't care, but at the same time, I'm not going to eat chicken because there's no point in it. It's unnecessary, and to be in line with your moral perspective in life, all it needs is me to not eat some chicken and have alternatives. But then it's like fish. Really don't care about fish. Never going to see me crying over a fish, apart from Free Willy. But that, I suppose, that whale isn't a fish. Anyway, different story. But getting down to there, again, I'm not going to eat fish because, again, I understand that potentially we've been destroying the oceans with our overfishing and all that stuff. And maybe my tiny non-contribution of eating fish it's going to have no effect whatsoever, but at least I know I'm not part of the group that is contributing to it, so that's all I can think of. Then I found out, when I googled, scrolled down even further, I found there's a different type of vegan called a began. I am a began. I should say that in a more depressive way, not so happy about it. A began is another person who's changed their eating style. A began is someone who consumes honey and other bee or insect-derived products. I do not eat meat of any kind, eggs, dairy, or any processed foods, or like buy loads of animal product kind of stuff like that. So I'm like, aha! I'm not a vegan. I'm a vegan. I'm never going to say that in real life to anybody that I meet. Like, oh, hello, nice to meet you. Hi, I'm a vegan. No, there's another one for a while called a freegan, where you just eat free food. Doesn't matter, but you don't buy food, so that's kind of anyway. But yeah, so I'm a vegan because my veganism stops at insect level. All the arguments that I see of street debaters and all that kind of stuff, they can win over the public whenever it talks about cute animals, things that you can relate to, like your dog and all that kind of stuff. But when it gets down to insects, I'm like, screw the insects. They're so below my level of caring that I'm actually pro insect eating. There was a documentary in people in Africa where during the mosquito outbreaks they'd get their frying pans, spray them with a bit of water, and just waft their pan in the air, or like a sieve or something, waft it in the air and just catch all these mosquitoes, and they would just be like this lump, and they just like scrape them off the pans and then shove them into this bowl, turn it into like a burger patty, and then cook it, and it was like a mosquito burger just from the sky. Just like, wow, that's this guy. But like the documentary makers were like, it's actually very high in protein and very good in nutrients and fantastic way to get food. You know, it's like, oh, that's disgusting, but at the same time, bravo, well done. And there is a movement of insect eating, which I think is I support. I can't say I promote, but I support in this. Let's see if we've got it. There's quite a few. If you Google eating insects farms or something like that, there's quite a lot of this going on. And what the chat is that insects, or their larva state or their small state, are some of the most efficient converters of inedible biomass into human grade protein. I was like, this sounds fantastic. So in a previous video I talked about how there's like these cattle farmers saying, hey, we've got these free range grass fed super cows, it's all super healthy for the environment. And then what they find out is that actually, even though they've got loads of land, they can't produce enough grass for the cows, these giant 2-ton cows, to be just eating all day every day. They need to import all this kind of food. And then the argument is that, yeah, but that food is non-human grade. You're like, oh, well, that's fine then, so let's feed it to the cows. Cows are all happy. But for every ton of non-human grade edible food, or non-human edible, whatever, it only creates like a couple of pounds worth of edible meat. It may create like 20 pounds of cow, but the edible parts are even just a fraction of that in itself. So it's so inefficient, and especially a lot of the stuff that makes up this meal, it may be sloth that we don't use, it may be the stuff from distilleries, great, from brewery processes, maybe stuff from soy, from sugar cane, banana stalks, stuff that we wouldn't eat, fine, just mush it all together, and we can give it to the cows. But again, it's all efficiency. So the idea is that this insect world, these insect farms, are super efficient, and can be done in a very small area. And because they're insects, you don't really need to worry about their what do you need to worry about? Their health and well-being. Well, I suppose you don't want them to have an insect disease or something, but it doesn't matter. And effectively, you give them a pound of food, they will eat everything, and they will turn it into a pound of crickets. And then you drag the crickets out, freeze dry them, grind them up, turn it into powder, a high protein flour that you can use for baking bread, which sounds amazing, but at the same time totally disgusting. I suppose you just got to get your head around it. And there's different ones. There's like ones which are doing like crickets, ones which are doing cockroaches I saw down here. That was just, oh god, it looks disgusting. But once it's ground up and turned into a flour, a bit like how the meat industry grinds up chickens and turns them into a chicken nugget, we would feel sad here. Instead of feeling sad, you just feel slightly disgusted. But when you're eating it in the end and it tastes the same, I'm all for it. And also, the other thing about this is the efficiency of it. So the efficiency of, you can effectively just give them all our waste food, stuff that we don't use, the stuff that goes into our compost bags, stuff that even goes into our gardening bins, and just feed that to the piles of tiny little mealworms. They'll chew it all through, they'll turn into crickets or something, and then they'll burst open and get frozen and turned into food. I think that's a fantastic. If protein is such an important source for the expanding human population, let's get everyone eating insects as the most efficient way of A, getting rid of a lot of our waste, B, producing very little carbon dioxide or methane, and B, high efficiency protein production. And also, because they're just insects, all you need is a small warehouse, not even like the giant farms, the fields and all that stuff, small warehouse anywhere, in inner city, you can do it. And you can just have like trays and trays of all the little eggs that you put out there filled with mealworms. They start eating all the waste that you can get from restaurants. It just sounds like a brilliant idea. So although like vegans are like, oh, I don't want to hurt any animals, I'm like, animals, fine, insects, screw them all. So I'm a vegan and I'm pro eating insects and pro insect farming and the potential benefits, I think. I need to do more research on it, but it seems, apart from the disgust factor of it in the first place, the potential benefits for the environment and the anti-arguments towards eating full-grown animals, I think is fantastic. So high conversion of inedible waste products into edible high-protein products, the lack of or the minimal resources that are required. So you don't need like giant farms and all that industry, and the waste products. You could go around all the fancy pants restaurants in a city and just say, can we have your waste product, and just pour it into these trays and the animals eat it. Perfect. And you're saving it from going into a landfill. Genius idea. So I'm still pro-vegan, technically a vegan, but I'm pro-eating insects. Although I've never eaten any yet. So like, that is the future, and I'm ready to go there. Does that make me a bad vegan? Tell me what you think. And what's your opinion of our future insect dining experiences?